In the faraway valley of flames where the morning sun painted the sky in shades of rose and gold and the air shimmered with the heat of hidden fires beneath the earth, there lived a tiny green dragon named Ember who dreamed of being big like his friends. The valley was unlike any other place in the world. Streams of silver smoke wound between tall cliffs, and the ground sparkled with pieces of crystal left behind by ancient dragons long ago. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and ash, and every dawn the great volcanoes beyond the mountains rumbled softly, reminding the dragons that their fire came from the heart of the earth itself. Dragons of every color filled the valley: red, blue, gold, purple, even silver, each with wings that glittered like jewels. They would rise with the sun, spreading their wings wide to catch the warmth of the morning light. Ember watched them from his nest near a bubbling stream, his small claws gripping the rocks as his eyes followed their graceful shapes above. He wished he could fly among them, wished he could feel the wind lift him high, wished his wings were strong enough to hold him aloft instead of trembling when he tried to flap. Ember was smaller than the youngest hatchling, and though his scales shimmered softly like emerald glass, they were delicate, almost transparent in the light. His wings were light as leaves, his horns only tiny points, and when he tried to breathe fire, all that came out was a puff of warm smoke that faded before it reached the air. Still, Ember was never one to give up. Each day he climbed the tallest hill near his nest and he tried to fly. Sometimes he managed to glide a few feet before tumbling into the grass. Other days he ended up tangled in the flowers that grew along the stream. The other dragons would laugh kindly, calling out that one day he'd surprise them all, but Ember only smiled and he nodded, even when his heart asked a little inside. He believed them, but he also wished the day would come sooner. His best friend, a bright orange dragon named Flare, often flew circles above him, calling encouragements from the sky. She loved to swoop low and create gusts of wind to lift Ember up, though it never lasted long. "You'll get there, Ember," she would shout as he flapped desperately, his little wings buzzing like a hummingbird's. When he finally landed again, panting and dizzy, she'd giggle and shower him with sparks before flying off to practice with the older dragons. Ember admired her confidence and her fiery spirit, but every night as the stars appeared, he felt a quiet longing stir within him. He didn't just want to fly, he wanted to belong. As the moons passed, the valley prepared for its grandest event, the Skyfire Festival. It happened only once every 100 nights when the twin moons aligned and the sky shimmered with ribbons of color. On that night, every young dragon would show their strength and courage by flying through rings of flame suspended high above the cliffs. The best flyers would earn their place in the Sky Clan, the guardians of the valley. It was every dragon's dream, and the embers had thumped faster each time someone mentioned it. The other young dragons trained from dawn till dusk, their roars echoing across the valley. Blaze, the largest and the strongest of them all, was already a legend. His wings were like thunder clouds, and his fire was sight to melt stone. He led the others in training, and though he often teased Ember, it was never cruel. Still, each time Blaze soared effortlessly into the sky, Ember's chest tightened with envy and admiration. He wanted to be brave like Blaze, fierce like Tempest, graceful like Flare, but no matter how hard he tried, he remained small and earthbound. One evening, long after the others had gone to sleep, Ember sat beside the glowing pools that reflected the stars like mirrors. The air was cool, and the tiny fireflies drifted lazily between the reeds. He stared at his reflection, his small horns, His thin tail Andy whispered that maybe he would never be more than a dragon who dreamed too high. The wind sighed through the cliffs, carrying the scent of fish and flowers. Then, from the shadows, came a soft light. Out of the mist stepped Arion, the oldest dragon in the valley, his silver scales gleaming like moonlight on water. His wings seemed endless, and his eyes glowed with the wisdom of 1,000 years. Ember bowed his head in awe, unsure if he should speak. Arion's deep, gentle voice rolled like distant thunder as he asked why Ember sat alone. The little dragon told him everything: his wish to be big, his failed flights, his fear that he would never be enough. Arion listened without interruption. And when Ember finished, the great dragon smiled. He sighed that every dragon's flame burns differently, and that size and power mean nothing if the heart is weak. Courage, Arion sighed softly, is the fire that never fades. Then, lowering his head, he breathed out a small golden spark that floated gently through the eye. It landed in Ember's claws and glowed warmly, brighter than any flame Ember had ever seen. Arion told him to keep it safe, for it would grow when fed with courage and kindness. Then, without another word, he vanished into the mist. Ember stared at the spark for a long time before placing it near his head, feeling it pulse in rhythm with his own. That night, as he drifted to sleep beneath the stars, the little dragon dreamed of flying higher than the clouds, the golden spark lighting his path. Days passed, and the Ember trained harder than ever before. Though he still could not fly far, he knows something new. He no longer felt so afraid when he failed. Each time he fell, he laughed instead of sighing, because deep inside he could feel that warmth growing stronger. Sometimes, when he closed his eyes, he thought he could hear Arion's words echoing through the wind. On the morning of the Skyfire Festival, the valley burst into color. Dragons decorated the cliffs with shiny banners, and the ground shimmered with molten gold dust. The air hummed with excitement as families gathered along the ledges. Ember stood near the back, his wings trembling. He wasn't sure if he should even die. But when Flare flew down beside him, her smile gave him courage. She told him that every dragon, no matter their size, had something special waiting to be discovered. Ember looked up at the sky and he nodded. He took his place at the starting line with the others. The drums of flame began to beat, slow and powerful, echoing through the mountains. One by one, the young dragons launched into the air. Blaze went fast, his roar shaking the earth as he shot through the rings, his fire blazing crimson. The crowd roared with approval. Then came Flare, spinning gracefully through the hoops, her trail of orange sparks twirling behind her. Next was Tempest, her wings slicing the air like lightning as she zipped through every ring with perfect precision. The valley thundered with applause. When it was Ember's turn, the world seemed to fall silent. The little dragon stepped forward, staring up at the rings that shimmered high above him. They seemed impossibly far. His legs trembled, his breath caught, and for a heartbeat he almost turned back. But then he felt the faint warmth at his chest where Arion's spark rested. It pulsed softly, as if reminding him of all his practice, his falls, his dreams. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and ran. The wind rushed past his face as his claws left the ground. His wings beat furiously, and for one shining moment he lifted off, hovering above the earth. The crowd gasped, but then the wind shifted, and he tumbled back down, rolling into the grass. The silence that followed was heavy. Ember's eyes stung with tears. He heard someone sigh, maybe Blaze, maybe another. And shame burned in his chest. But then, faint and steady, he saw the golden spark glowing brighter. He realized that the spark had never been about power, it was about heart. Courage wasn't something you waited for. It was something you decided to have. He pressed the coal over his chest, feeling the warmth spread through his scales. The air shimmered around him. And the sparks light flowed through his wings until they gleamed gold. The dragons gasped as Ember stepped forward once more. His eyes shone, not with pride but with determination. He ran again, faster this time, and he leapt. The wind caught him, and instead of pushing him down, it lifted him higher. He soared upward, the light from his wings scattering like sunbeams through clouds. The valley erupted in awe as Ember passed through the vast ring, leaving behind a trail of golden flame. Then the second, then the third. Each time he rose higher. His courage blazed brighter until it seemed the whole sky was on fire. When he landed, the valley trembled with cheers. Dragons stomped their claws and roared in celebration. Flare flew overhead and wrapped her wings around him, laughing and crying at once. Blaze, his eyes wide with disbelief, bowed his head respectfully. Even the ancient Arion appeared in the distance, watching with a proud, gentle smile. From that day forward, Ember was no longer called the smallest dragon. He became Ember the Heartfire, the dragon whose courage lit up the valley. He continued to train, not to prove himself but to help others believe in themselves. Young dragons who struggled to fly sought him out, and he guided them patiently, reminding them that strength comes from trying again and again. The valley changed because of him. Dragons began to celebrate not only those who flew highest but also those who showed the most heart. On quiet nights, Ember would climb the cliffs and look at the stars. They glittered like tiny sparks scattered across the sky. And he thought of how far he had come from the little dragon who tumbled in the grass to one who could soar among the constellations. Sometimes, he imagined that each star was another dragon's dream, waiting to shine. When the wind brushed past him, he felt Orion's presence still, whispering that courage is a flame that never dies. Ember smiled and he spread his wings, feeling the cool night air lift him gently. As he glided over the sleeping valley, the soft golden glow from his chest reflected on the clouds below. Far beneath him, the streams sparkled, the fires flickered, and the dragons dreamed. Ember's light drifted across them, a warm reminder that even the smallest spark can light up the entire sky. And though he would always be small in size, his heart had grown beyond measure, strong enough to carry him wherever he wished to go. Whenever young dragons doubted themselves, they would look up at the golden light gliding high above and remember his story, the story of the tiny dragon who wanted to be big like his friends but learned that true greatness begins within.